Let's talk about Sean Strickland. Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Strickland, UFC 297, coming up this Saturday. It's going to be amazing. I am not going to miss this fight. Sean Strickland, as you know, mocked Bud Light when, the whole Dylan Mulvaney thing happens. Bud Light then sponsors UFC. Sean Strickland comes out and says, I can't wait to reform you. I'm going to save you, Bud Light. It's a hilarious video. And we were all really excited for the moment when Sean Strickland would give a press conference knowing that he's going to sit there in front of all of the press and just go off. And he did. It is spectacular. In fact, he goes a little heavy with it. So I'd say I don't completely agree with everything he said so far. But he's got a couple clips that are going viral. We're going to play for you. And let's start with the COVID lockdowns one. Here we go.
Thanks.
Sean, Neil Davidson from the Canadian Press. Welcome to Canada.
Oh, congratulations! Yeah, fucking the Canadian Press, man. Were you a COVID bank account stealer too? Were you on board with that?
No.
Are you left wing or right wing? Were you a Trudeau? We got one of the fucking commies with the man stands. Were you non-biased?
I think I'll ask the questions.
I think so. Oh, we fucking know. Maybe I should just pass on this motherfucker. He's gonna go back. He's gonna go back and fucking give my bank account information to fucking Trudeau.
Wow, man.
Well, it's probably a good bank account.
It probably is a really good bank account.
I love that he just came out and dropped fucking commies.
Yes, yeah. But the journalist didn't even say anything. Yeah. He's just sitting there like, I'm going to call you a commie. I'm going to call you out. But now I'm going to play this clip for you. This one goes hard. There are some people on the right even who are like, it's a little too heavy for me, because he made some comments about trans people in the past too, and they're like, no, we agree with calling out Bud Light and all these things, but my view is like, take the big ask. Bud Light sponsors UFC, and this is what you get when they do. I'm going to play the clip for you.
We've got a pretty supportive gay and lesbian community in this city. I did want to ask you about something you wrote a couple of years ago. You said, if I had a gay son, I would think I'd...
Oh, look, another. I'm saying to you, the swamp, you guys, the swamp.
You become a champion, you become a star, and some would say...
Let me ask you something. Are you gay? No, are you... Let me know, are you gay?
Can I get an answer?
Well, no, I'm asking, this is the part of, are you a gay man?
I'm an ally of the community.
Oh,
okay. If you had a son and he was like, you had a son, he was gay, you'd be like, oh man, you don't want a grandkid?
No problem with it.
Oh man, well, dude, you're a weak fucking man, dude. You're part of the fucking problem. You elected Justin Trudeau, like, when he sees the bank accounts, like, you're just fucking pathetic. And the fact that you have no fucking backbone. And has he shut down your fucking country and seized bank accounts? You ask me some stupid shit like that, go fuck yourself.
Fucking question.
I'm going to pause right there. This is not about, whether you support gay people or not. He's outright saying, you elect Trudeau, he shuts down bank accounts, and this is the question that I get. Spot on.
I did want to ask also things you said about the trans community. You said this past October when they announced the Bud Light sponsorship that you'd go so hard on Bud Light in your next fight, they'll have to accept me or denounce me when they know what, and will know what they stand for.
This guy's like, hey, this Canadian's not that Canadian.
Are you still going to use your fight time to kind of speak on that?
Here's the thing about Bud Light. 10 years ago, to be trans was a mental fucking illness. And now all of a sudden, people like you have fucking weaseled your way into the world. You are an infection.
Whoa.
You are the definition of weakness. Everything that is wrong with the world is because of fucking you. And the best thing is the world's not buying it. The world's not buying your fucking bullshit you're fucking peddling. The world is not saying, you know what? You're right. Fucking chicks have dicks. The world's not saying that. The world's saying, no, there are two genders. I don't want my kids being taught about who they could fuck in school. I don't want my kids being taught about, their sexual preference. Like, dude, this guy is the fucking enemy. You want to look at the fucking enemy to our world? It's that motherfucker right there.
So I just like to point out, he has basically just made the statement, because he was asked about Bud Light, and he said Bud Light's going to have to either accept him or denounce me, and then he called this guy an infection. Going a little hard. Yeah. But when it comes to the political issues that he's pointing out, these people who are lying and pretending to be allies or whatever, they don't actually care. They're literally just weak. These journalists in the United States and in Canada, these leftists, most of them I would refer to them as default liberal. They don't actually care about these issues. In fact, many of them don't like these things that are being pushed by the woke left, but they are so weak, they will march in lockstep with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Leaving sports, I still get messages from some of the people I used to work with and some of the athletes too. They won't go public and say that they agree with me, but they'll send me a message and they'll agree with me. So it's unfortunate. But I mean, this is refreshing.
They're weak.
There's a lot of weak people out there, though. They're all afraid of being canceled. And unfortunately, there's no end in sight. But, Sean's comments are refreshing. I don't always agree with all of them, but this is refreshing that someone's so transparent and so open about it. It's the only thing that you'll see in the UFC, though. The UFC is really the only sport division that will ever do any of this. You won't see it in professional sports regarding Major League Baseball or NHL or NFL, as we saw today. So ultimately, it's kind of refreshing to see people being so open about it.
What happened in the NFL today?
Today, there's the new head coach of the Patriots, and I think he's the first black coach for the Patriots. And he said during the press conference that he sees that if you don't see color, that you are part of the problem and like you are racist, is what he's trying to insinuate.
So he does not like Martin Luther King
To go
Jr., right?
from
No.
20 years of do your job to this.
Yeah.
What an embarrassment. For people that don't know, the New England Patriots, when Bill Belichick and Tom Brady were just destroying the NFL for 2 decades, the whole point was do your job, do your job, do your job. It was focused purely on the game, and they get this new clown in here, and it's been a month that he's been in.
I think today was just the press conference, the welcoming press conference. for him.
Belichick just left.
Yeah,
like, a
Belichick
week
just
ago.
left, and this guy's in, and the first thing out of his mouth is, "I'm going to screw the Patriots harder."
Yeah.
Like they're doomed. They're doomed.
Is the UFC a place where the athletes can speak out because of the way
Yeah.
Dana White runs it? Just
Yeah.
purely because of...
Yeah, they're okay with this. They won't. There's no penalties for saying this. They'll, everyone's allowed to have their own opinions, and that's why I think it's refreshing because you can't do that anywhere else. They will jump on you. I think the NHL learned their lesson the hard way too when they started doing all these DEI hiring practices, and they've suddenly distanced themselves from it. But they had I forgot what her role exactly was, but she was a DEI hire, and she was pretty. I mean, hockey's a heavily white sport. There's not many minorities in it, and she was very critical of that, and she was very we need to get more minorities involved in it, but they have no interest in being involved in it, so why force them to do it? And so we're just seeing it all over the place. That's why I kind of like the UFC and how they allow their players, their fighters, to go out there and speak so openly.
Is it like single team sport, like, I don't know, single player sports, like golf? Can the golfers get away with saying this kind of thing?
They all can. All professional athletes can. The issue is UFC knows that if they tried enforcing morality clauses on these fighters, they'd have no fighters. You can go to a golfer and he's going to be like, I don't want to fight. I'm just here to play golf. Strickland's got cauliflower ear.
Yeah.
He is not afraid of you. He doesn't care what you think. He's going to say what he wants to say.
Also, there's
because
Bellator.
He is not weak.
Like, there's other fighting companies that would pick him up, and it's all on Sean. Like, what Sean says is on Sean. In a team sport, what you say reflects on your team. And I think when you're in a team sport, you're kind of indoctrinated, like, do your part for the team. Don't question the coach. Stay in line. The team is more important than you are.
Well, I think that's a component of it, but it's generally that while athletes are strong people, that's like what makes you an athlete. People who get punched in the face for a living are like the strongest of athletes. And if you're a dude like Strickland who gets punched in the face for a living and actually wins when he punches others in the face, I think he's undefeated, right? Am I wrong?
I do
I
not
have to
know
fact
what
check that. I don't know.
Yeah, pull that up. 'Cause I could be wrong about that. I think he is. I'm not sure. I'm not a big UFC guy, but my point is just this: you're not going to find on average tougher people. And so if someone comes to them and says, "Hey, we don't want you to say these things," right? You got a morality clause. These are the most likely guys to be like, "Oh, you pussy, fuck you. I'm going to say what I want to say." That's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like the things he's saying about Bud Light. I'm surprised. Like, Bud Light's got to respond to this. I think. Here's what I think. I know what's going to happen. The far left will not touch this. They will not come out. They will not criticize Strickland. They will not criticize Bud Light because they know they will lose, and that will force Bud Light to issue a statement of support to Strickland and the UFC in some way. So long as there is no conflict, all the far left can do is sit down and shut up.
Yeah, he's 9-0, so he's undefeated. I thought it was interesting too this year. MLB, all the teams except the Rangers didn't have an LGBT plus night. Rangers didn't do it. Everyone else did. And ultimately, the Rangers won the World Series. So I thank God rewards those who do.
Okay, no, he's lost 5 fights, 2 by knockout,
really?
3 by submission.
Ah.
The latest numbers.
This is he's 28-5. Is that just his total career?
Yeah, five losses.
But you
So I
see
was wrong,
9-0. Is that in the UFC or
Let's
something?
see. Strickland had made his professional debut in 2008. Let me click on it. Hold on. The first thing that popped on Google said yes, he was.
I
don't know. I'm reading a Sports Kita. They say that he's lost 5.
28-5.
128, lost 5. That's a great record. Look, man,
Yeah, not bad.
I don't care what you do, but I just think it's fairly obvious if you're a fighter, you're quite literally a fighter. And people who play basketball are probably just like, man, leave me alone. You know what I mean? It's very, very different. A lot of pro skateboarders are coming around, though. This is really exciting. And I think one of the things that's really important, too, and I encourage all these companies to do more of it, there are, I'll be on Instagram and I'll see a clip from a pro skateboarder and they're wearing a Public Square shirt. That's how you solve this. When Public Square goes to a pro athlete in action sports and says, we're going to pay you X amount of dollars per month, wear our shirts, put our stickers on your gear, they say, you got it. I'm getting paid. Guess what? Now they're not scared to speak out because they'd be like, look, I ride for this energy drink company. And if I say this stuff, they're going to fire me. Now they're like, yeah, energy drink company might fire me, but I get paid more by Public Square and Rumble anyway. So what do I care? Yep. People can have issues. Like if you never know, right? You might come out and say something, about, I don't know, I just plain don't like shepherd's pie. And then it turns out that the CEO of a company who sponsors you owns a shepherd's pie, freezer food company. And he's like, you're hurting our brand, so we're dropping you. You never know what's going to offend one of your sponsors. So if you've got sponsors with a wide range of political backgrounds, you're safe. And as more and more companies on the right sponsor athletes and just anyone who can be sponsored, the more likely it is they're going to publicly speak up and defend their values.
And there are more people that are coming out and pushing back against woke. It is, kind of getting to a point where people are standing up and saying, hey, no, we're not doing this anymore. It's something that it's going to take. It's not something that's going to go away easily because it is. There's a lot of money in it, first of all. There's a lot of people that are true believers. The whole woke thing that's gone into, like, when it comes to LGBT and trans and stuff like that, any parent that helped their child mutilate their body, they are never going to ever let it go. They're going to be true believers for the rest of their lives because if they go ahead and say, well, maybe I was wrong, then they've enabled their child to mutilate their body. So there's going to be people that are going to push back probably for decades, but overall, it looks like the general consensus is this is not something that we want dictating our society, which is, extremely hopeful, and my fingers are crossed. But
yeah, I think that a lot of the last 5 years of crazy DEI and child sex changes was like, those kids are adults now. Like Chloe Cole is very vocal adult. I don't know, she's 19. Is she 19 now or
19 or 20?
And she had her double mastectomy when she was 15, and now is like, how horrible that I was led to do this to myself.
Yeah.
And she's like leading the charge as an adult now, kind of talking back. And we're also seeing the payout of the parallel economy in action. We talked about parallel economy 2 years ago, and like, we need a parallel economy. Then Public Square appeared, then Rumble went public, and like, now we see the value of it is people feel like they can speak out because they're being sponsored by companies like that.
And Cast Brew Coffee. That's right. It's preliminary, but Cast Brew Coffee not only has an Alex Stein 2 times caffeine, it's primetime grind, Alex Stein's primetime grind 2 times caffeine, but we're going to be sponsoring his show too.
I love that.
So, right, we're going to make sure that the people we like and do fun things. The thing about Alex is that he does a kind of political comedy. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's silly, it's levity. And so, I'm talking to him. We did the coffee blend with him, and now, we're I don't know. I should say it's a little early. We'll say, I don't know. The Blaze is involved because the show's on the Blaze, but I'm like, yeah, let's roll. Let's do this. I want there to be more of people like Alex Stein, because a lot of people will say things like, I'm going to help fight the culture war. I'll make a podcast, and I'm like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Do it if you want to do it, but we need more than that. We need biltong companies. You know what I mean? Like, we need companies that make things like sodas. Mm-hmm. And then if you make a soda, you sponsor someone. Public Square, I'm trying to figure out who they sponsor, but I remember seeing like a video. I think it's a BMX guy, I'm not sure, or it might be a skateboarder, but they're wearing a Public Square shirt. And I'm like, that's it right there. Because kids are going to come to those events to watch the guy do the backflip, and he's going to be wearing Public Square, and they're going to recognize that. And I'm hoping within a few years, Public Square is bigger than Amazon. Pipe dream. But when you get to that point where you know every business you're shopping at, here's the best part. We need to get to the point where businesses may not actually have our values and share the values of the nuclear family and, you know, the Constitution, but they come out and say, I'm all for it, please buy my product. Because that's what the woke has and has had for a long time, and they're losing. They had this issue where most businesses don't actually care about wokeness, but will fly the flag because that's what they're supposed to do. You fly the American flag. That's what you're supposed to do. And if you don't know or care about the Constitution, fine, but you fly the American flag. That's the indoctrination we want. So when conservatives are like, schools shouldn't be indoctrinating kids, no, they should be. They should be indoctrinating them on American constitutional values.
You should raise your children not to hate you and your society. And we have at least a decade, probably closer to 2 decades of graduating classes who went through their entire life in school where they were told that the United States and liberalism is bad and evil and produces only negative effects. And the idea that is going to do anything other than destroy your society is ridiculous.
I used to hate the public school indoctrination, swear an oath to a flag of allegiance that I don't even understand, but I'm pledging my soul to this corporation called the United States. I was like, oh, I hate it. But now I'm more like, you're going to get indoctrinated by something, so it may as well be the American flag, and then maybe that'll point you at the Constitution and you'll learn about it.
That's a really, really, really good point. There is going to be some frame to the way that you see society, right? There's going to be a certain way that you look at society. Like you're talking about, they're going to be indoctrinated some way. And that's really all it is. It's just how you perceive society and how you are, how the narrative that you believe your society, that describes your society. So if you're going to have some kind of narrative that you're going to believe, then you might as well believe one that is pro you and your family and the people in your country, the people that are local to you.
I hope everybody watches on Saturday. I want, it's pay-per-view on Saturday. I think you can. I'm pretty sure you can go to like any sports bar. They'll be playing.
Oh, is that a Strickland fight?
Yeah.
Strickland's fight Saturday, January 20th, Saturday pay-per-view. So we are definitely going to be watching this, and I hope everyone does, because you want to help build a parallel economy. You want to win a culture war. You want UFC and particularly the fight with Strickland to be a smashing success, make tons of money, and it's going to no matter what. But let's all sit down, enjoy the show, tweet about it, make it trend, make it go viral. And I hope Strickland wins.
I wonder if Dana White visualizes his deal with Bud Light as like a UFC match. He's like, I received their incoming force, I grabbed it, and now it's a ground game. I've got them on the ground with their $100 million in my pocket. Let's see if they can get out of this one. And he lets dudes like Sean just light fire.
This is my point about declaring victory. We now mock Bud Light relentlessly. We need Bud Light. We should be saying things like, wow, thank you, Bud Light, for sponsoring that message. They are infections, aren't they, right? Figuratively. I'm not saying literally say exactly what he said, but make the point that Bud Light funded this, and we're glad they did.
I will criticize a little bit of what Sean did there, because I don't like, this is something, and maybe it's just me, maybe there's room for it to really be like, this is the enemy of the state. This guy right here is all of your enemy.
He didn't say the state.
No, but he's like intimating like, this person is the enemy of your reality. It's that guy. And like, singling out a human and telling everyone in the room that he's your villain, especially for a person in power, is it can get that guy lynched. So you got to be careful.
I half agree. I agree in the sense that targeting a single individual, but I disagree in that we do need to use mockery of bad and evil people. That is a powerful tool. That's why memes are so effective. It's why political cartoons are so effective. So agreed, pointing to a single guy saying that's the enemy, come on, that guy's like a doofy moron, so I get it. But calling out the machine and saying these are the behaviors that lead to death, destruction, pain, harm, suffering, etc. is an important thing to do, and doing it in a way that mocks and belittles them.
Because you want to humiliate that reporter for sure. I mean, I think that's what Sean's intent was. He just did it in a really like aggressive, angry fighter way.
More than one.
He'll think twice before he ever asks that question again, though. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. And I think that's that's what he's intending to do, because really, like, that stuff doesn't have anything to do with UFC.
Nothing.
It's all about, it's all social questions. It's all questions about, culture war stuff.
Right.
So,
And that's one of the reasons why this is so great.
yeah.
He says Trudeau freezes people's bank accounts, and that's what you're going to ask me.
Yeah.
And you know what I love? How about another good line is exactly that, to say things like, do you want to ask questions about fighting, or do you want to ask questions about politics to get clicks on the internet? Because that's what they're doing. That's why they do it. They don't know anything about this guy. I'm willing to bet these fighters, he's not going to hear the name Strickland ever again. He's not going to watch the fight. He's not going to care about the fight. He's going to leave and be like, oh, I don't know. I was assigned to go to something. I have no idea what it was.
I didn't see the entire press conference where dudes asking him about his ground game. Were they asking him about his left hook? Like, do they talk? Are they actually talking about his fight too? I hope so.
I'd imagine. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.